Are we live? Are we live?
I don't know.
Women's Wellness Network
Okay.
coming to you live with Tammy Scarlett. I have the privilege today. My name is Amos Bracewell. I'm interviewing Tammy Scarlett in her own group so that you guys can hear. Now, probably a lot of you have already heard some of, or maybe a lot of Tammy's story, but I was like, Tammy, let me interview you so we can actually talk about a bit of your journey, your story for those that maybe are either new or haven't heard the whole thing, and so that you can be featured in your own group because it's important when people show up in your group, they're like, well, okay, cool group, but who's running this? Who's in charge? What are their values? Why'd they do this? What's their favorite food? What's their favorite hobby? All these kind of important questions that help, in my opinion, as a human, connect with other humans. So, Tammy, Scarlett, welcome to your own group.
Thank you for interviewing me here today.
I'm excited. So, okay, so first of all, the Women's Wellness Network. This was founded just over 5 months ago. I know some people know you're a part of my Catapult program.
Go.
February, March, April, May, June, just over 4 months ago. Oh my gosh, that was just over five. Okay, so just over 4 months ago, my math is hard. Tammy, why in the world would you want to start the Women's Wellness Network? What was the catalyst that made you even want to get out of bed to do this? Because it's a lot of work.
It certainly is, but being able to get out of bed now to do something is part of it because I've been on this crazy healing journey. I've been through a lot of things from, health, emotional, physical, everything, all the things. You say it, I've been there. I probably know something about it. So when I was going through, let's just go back a little ways. We'll go back just over 10 years. I had breast cancer. I was going through a divorce at the same time, and my world was just completely upside down. So just trying to figure out who to trust, where to go, what to look at. When the cancer agency says, don't go online, don't look for things. Here's, the recommended things that are, you know, the right information, I guess. And they don't want you to go off and go willy-nilly all over the place because there's a lot of things that maybe are not, well, they're not going to be beneficial if they're scary or, not what you're looking for. And, you kind of get lumped into a bit of uh, a category. When you have breast cancer, you're a breast cancer patient, right? And there was more to it than what they were, suggesting to do to help, to heal, to, get yourself through the physical part. Well, there wasn't a lot of the other stuff available. So what about the rest of it? What about the emotional part and, learning how to be me again? Or, at the same time, as I said, I was coming out of a divorce or going through a divorce. So I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything. And I was trying to rediscover all that while being on a healing journey. And the fun part was discovering all these things that would have made the healing journey better for other people, better for myself, and better for people coming up in the future. Because, that kind of stuff is hopefully it's going to get less. The way our practices are getting better, we're taking better care of ourselves, we're more aware. So learning all those things, I went back and volunteered for about a year and a half after my cancer journey. And when I was sitting in that chair having that treatment, I'm like, when I'm finished this, I'm coming back and I'm going to be doing some of these things that need doing, like meditation and breath work and all the things that really, really help. I mean, there's so many things. And there's no place to just go and obtain those things, to find somebody who's reliable, maybe somebody who's gone trauma informed. I believe in trauma informed practices. Those to me are the things that actually help people heal. I mean, it's great to learn stuff from a book and maybe you've journeyed down a path with somebody, you know helping somebody else, but to have that knowledge of your own on your inside, and being able to work through it and discover the gold nuggets, because there are a lot of them, even, in the darkest times, there are still things that are amazing and incredible that we can pull out and bring forward. And those are the things that you just kind of rest yourself on. And the Women's Wellness Network, I really wanted a space for people to be able to just, hey, I can go to Women's Wellness Network and I know I can find some help. There's going to be something there for me. And I think we're kind of like a family, right? We're like, I'm trying to get to know the people. I want to know the people. We're like friends, right? We're supposed to be, come on over, come and have coffee with me kind of thing, right? You got a problem? Let's talk about it. If I don't know about it or I can't solve it, I will find somebody that can. And that's, I think that's, it's this wealth of all these resources and all these different kinds of personalities and people and modalities and just everybody coming together in this melting pot, in this wildflower garden. That's why I say that we're wildflowers, right? Because we're all different and we all have our own essence and we all have something to share. And yeah, everybody
Wow.
being able to connect with each other is the goal.
Was this driving you even as a kid? You know what? Before we ask that question, I think you just taught me something. Does trauma informed mean that the person is, the practitioner has actually been through that? Is that what trauma informed means?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I've been hearing this buzzword. So it means you've gone through it. You're not just teaching it because you learn. Okay, well, why would you want to learn it from anyone else unless they have gone through it, right?
Right.
Okay, so were you always gathering people as a kid? Like, what was your personality like as a teen in your 20s? Why would you want to host? Because you're like a talk show host basically now, and you're leading from the bottom, serving from the bottom up. Why would you want to do this? Was this a lifelong or was this a new thing?
Well, I think I've always kind of been that person. I was always, I fall in my family in a weird position. The next person above me is almost 7 years older or 6 years older. And then the person below me, same, like 6 years younger. So I was always in the middle, right? There was not really a place for me to fit. So I always took it upon myself to be the teacher, to be I was always the babysitter. I can tell you that because I was the oldest. Um, so just, helping them grow, helping them learn things that I already knew, I guess. We'd go on camping trips or whatever, and the friends have children and I would hang out with them and, we'd do spelling and write stories and just, things that were interesting and to kind of keep them busy, I guess, ultimately. But I really loved
Amazing.
that. We used to do neighborhood sports day also when school let out. So of course all the little kids were a lot younger than me, but I would put it together and then we would have like a neighborhood sports day with ribbons and it was very fun.
Okay, this is amazing. So basically, when you were a kid and a teen, you were all the showings of what you would be doing at this age now. You're already doing that. Okay, that's really cool to know. So this is not it's a new modality or a new expression, but you've always been this way. You've
Yeah.
always been someone that's gathering. You're clearly creative. And so you were thinking of creative things to do with the neighborhood kids, to play, to integrate, to include everybody. Well, that must be really, I assume this really helps your network because I've heard great things from people I know that are in your group that just rave about you.
Thank you.
You're the kind of leader that people just want to follow because there's not a whole lot of ego in you. You've obviously been refined with the things in life you've been through. What are some of the biggest lessons you had to learn or things to let go of on your journey of demarrying? Is that ever been said, right? Or going through like the cancer journey? Like, what are the top one or two, three things that you've had to shift to accept?
I guess probably, well, let's just start with the physicality, right? I went through breast cancer, had full reconstruction, and then there was an issue. So there was a rupture and not of the actual implant, but of the capsule around it. So all this poison went into my system. So I spent about 4 years in bed. Just only in the last year, I've been really, trying to get up and get out and get going, moving physically. I made like all these little programs for myself. As I'm laying in bed, not being able to do anything, right? You're really challenged with the physical part of living, but you still want to stay, you still want to get your heart rate going. You still want to be able to, stretch and move. So things like, of course, like yoga, fit right in there because you could just do it in your bed. You don't have to like go anywhere, right? So things that were really difficult for me, like getting out of bed. I went through a period of time there after the poisoning, where I could barely walk, and I would have to pick up my own legs to get up and down stairs. So it was difficult. Yeah, it was difficult. So I was an athlete. In school, I played soccer until I was, an older teen, and love hiking and all that kind of stuff. So taking a person who's super physical and active and saying, nope, you better go stay in that spot and don't move for 4 years. That's hard on the psyche of that part of me, because I wanted to be that still and I couldn't. So allowing what is and who I was in that moment, I just had to accept it, because there's no other route. There was nothing else to do. It was just accept it as it is and do the best that you can every day, which I still strive to do, of course. Um, so, but then the physical part of me, having the breasts, you know, give me cancer, poison me to begin with, had all the reconstruction, then had to have it all undone. Well, I'm not going through that again. So I'm like concave. There's nothing there. It's as maybe it should have been to begin with, without, going through the vanity of putting the implants in to begin with. So that's one of those things, right? Like really getting in check with what's important, because obviously I was bald also. I had no hair when I went through chemo. So after the cancer part, I was really still not living in my body. I was still running and hiding, and, you know, life was still lifing me, and I was still hiding. So I needed to get back into my body. So now that's what I call myself, a re-inhabitation and embodiment coach. So you can like get back in there and love being there, no matter what it looks like on the outside. It doesn't matter. I have so many scars. One day I'll count my stitches, and it's like a lot. There's I've been through a lot of traumas and injuries in my lifetime, like not just this. And that was another thing, to really start looking at what was happening, what I was doing. Of course, we talk all the time about mindset and what we're thinking of, and that it creates the chemistry and all that kind of stuff. And it 100% does. I can look back at so many of the things that had happened to me, even if there were like freak accidents, there was some point, some part of me that in a way chose that. And the things that kept happening afterwards, um, it was just like a snowball, because you're not taking care of the initial thing, like the foundation, right? The foundation of yourself. It gets cracked. And if you don't take care of it, then it falls apart. And so after the poisoning, yeah, I really had to take a good look at myself. Why did I get the implants to begin with? Obviously, I was going through a divorce, and, that was not a good reason to do it. But I just still wanted to be me. I still wanted to be that person. I still wanted to maintain the structure of who I was, and in this, perfectionist way, and things were not perfect. So yeah, just letting go of all that I used to be, and everything that, and starting fresh, and just being okay with what it is, because I'm a different person now. My body's different. My brain's different. I don't think the same as I used to. So yeah, just really relearning me. And it has been really awesome, actually. Surprising in some ways. There's like, of course, there's a lot of crappy things that you don't want to look at, but you have to look at them. And once you look at them and you really, deal with them, they're gone. I think that's really truly part of, enlightenment, and being light is actually not carrying that chemistry with you.
Wow. I always admire people that have been through significant, I think a lot of people would, significant body changes like cancer or burn victims or, something, or car accidents, and you're boom, right? At least with a baby, if your body changes, you get a baby, right?
Right.
You got a baby, you're like, okay, there's some changes, but I got my little darling. But man, I admire it. Can we go into Gus? I think we need to talk about Gus. Okay. For those of you, I'm sure maybe you've heard in Tammy's group, Tammy introduced to me to the terminology of calling God, universe, spirit, Gus, or some people would say guides, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call that. And Tammy, I use it everywhere I go.
I love it.
Well, maybe not everywhere I go because I go to the shawarma store the other day, 5 days in a row. I didn't use it there, so that's a lie. But I use it a lot, Tammy, and I appreciate it. And so, can we talk about your journey with spirit, source, God, universe? How has that integrated the last, or if you want to go further back than 10 years, do whatever you want. I just want to ask you, where are you at with that? And what does it look like today on your path?
Okay, well, that's a big, big, big one. Let me see. Okay, I'll go back to when I was younger. My family wasn't really religious. I was baptized as a baby, and then moved provinces, and we didn't go to church or anything. We weren't part of any of that kind of groups or anything. But my family, because they were, like I said, I'm that strange generation, like this little person all by myself when I had younger siblings. And, you know, they would let me go off to churches and things with my friends. So I got to see a bunch of different ones, like different, let's say like 5 or 8 different kinds of churches, which I thought was super interesting. And just taking the information that they, gave me, I didn't take it as one way or the other, but just interesting, right? Stories, of course, there's lots of stories that you can get from religion and Christianity. Everything I think was pretty much Christian. I had gone to a couple different things, like a Sikh temple and I don't know, like a few different ones also. So just getting a taste and a flavor for what that even is, what it means, and why are they different. So I just kept that in the back of my mind and, you know, grew up, had my own family, did not attend church. But still, the values and things that are around Christianity, I think are good values. Um, but then after when I started, like when I was finished with cancer, now I have been through a few different near-death experiences. So I don't know if you want to, that kind of has to play into that. Um,
Let's go there. If you want to, like, this is your interview, girl. So wherever you want to go, we're going.
okay, yeah, I haven't really talked about it a lot. I've only talked about it with I think 2 or 3 people in my whole lifetime. And all of that has been since I started this group. So it's really growing me in that way also because I didn't, there's certain things about my understandings that I need to keep to myself or that need to be delivered with care because they're so strong. But I definitely can talk about some of the things like first time that I discovered, now that I think back, right? I see these things much clearer when I look back and think about those instances, except for this particular one. But I'll just start with that one. When I was 14, I was out with a group of friends. There was people from age 14 to 19, I guess. And we're all drinking and we were at this beautiful spot in British Columbia. Strangely enough, it's called Suicide Creek. The actual name is called Nourish Creek, but that's the locals call it that. So we went there when I was 14 and everybody's drinking and having fun and being ridiculous as teenagers sometimes do. And I left the group and walked up a little ways to the waterfall and reached in to get a drink of water and fell in. So I didn't have enough time to really prepare myself. I'd been, swimming lessons and all that stuff when I was a child. So I was a strong swimmer. But of course, I didn't take the breath first. And the drop, I think, is about, I can't remember exactly, but talking with people, it's about 6 or 8 feet to the water surface from the top of the waterfall. And I went in, and of course, I'm panicking because I hadn't taken a breath. So there was no air to like sustain me. And I saw suddenly somebody jump in, and he was too far away. I couldn't reach him, but he had to be rescued first before he could rescue me. So there was a chain of people holding him to try and get me. And I couldn't reach him. And I was stuck between the falling water, and it like makes an eddy, I guess. It like sucks you down, but also it won't let you get down. So I couldn't go up and I couldn't go down. I was stuck in this middle. And as I think about it now as an adult and I go over that moment, um, I think it was the womb. I think it was this crazy moment where I could have been back in the womb, my consciousness back in the womb to be reborn in that moment. So everything was getting, darker, and the sound, the roaring of the waterfall had stopped, and it was just this tinkly, light, beautiful, bubbly sound. And I could see my friend trying to reach me, and I couldn't get there. And in this moment, there was this light. And I still feel like it was on this side of me for some reason. And it appeared not on the surface of the water, but farther away, but it was right there. And there was a voice that in that moment, and it happened just like this. All this stuff happened so quickly. It wasn't even, there's not a timeline. It's just everything was downloaded at once. And I had the option to either go and I would be reborn as a baby, or I could, and then in that moment, I also knew I would have to do everything that I'd gone through, all the traumas, abuses, shit that I'd lived through already up into that 14 years. And in that time, I was still having a really hard time. I was being bullied. Like, things were not great. My home life was terrible. And in that moment, yeah, I can see why somebody would choose to leave. And I thought, I'm not going to come back and have to go through all of that stuff again, just so I can be where I am now again. So I'm just going to go from here. And as soon as that decision made for me to just continue my life forward, I was rescued. We joined. He grabbed me, I grabbed him. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I was going to sit with that for a second. All right.
It is not my only experience with that either. The latest one that I had, the last one, and I know, it's like I knew the question was going to come. So after the poisoning, and I had like almost an emergency surgery. There's a certain kind of surgery that you want to have when you have implants, when you're having them removed. It's called en bloc. So anybody listening, and you're getting your implants out or you're thinking about it, look for that service, because it tries to keep all the capsule intact, so the stuff doesn't come out between, the stuff that's between doesn't go into your body. And also it helps remove all the pieces of the capsule. So I opted to wait 6 weeks and for this surgery to happen, because I just wanted it all out. I was so sick. I'd never been that sick. I thought I was going to die. And this was the thing, right? That moment of, it's your choice whether you're going to die or not. So you can wait. It's going to be painful and you're going to hate it, but you can wait for this surgery. So I did. And I waited like 6 weeks, I think it was, got the surgery. Surgery day is coming. And I knew, you're going to be called, you're going to be asked in that moment when you're under anesthetic, because I've been under anesthetic many times before, if you're ready, if you want to go. And I'm like, okay, this is scary. Like, it's scary knowing that question's coming. And in that moment, I'd been, very challenged. Things were still not going well. I was living with my mom. Like, things were just not good, right? So I looked deep inside and said, no, I have not come this far to just come this far. Like, screw that. I'm going to keep going. Like, I'm here for some other reason. There's a purpose. And my purpose, I thought, after cancer was to create a foundation for women newly diagnosed with breast cancer, run retreats for them, kind of give them hope, that kind of thing. I thought that was what I was supposed to do. And then I'd be ready to go. So I did that. I completed that. And I still wasn't ready. So I knew there was something else. So when I'm on the table, operating table, they go ahead and they start, and you got to do the countdown. And I start counting down from 10, and, you fall asleep and it's good. I don't know, you get to 8 or 7 or something, and that's it. You don't remember. Well, I don't know how much time passed between there, but my consciousness, I don't know if my eyes were open. I don't think they were, but my consciousness woke up at the ceiling. It was white, bright. And I knew it was the ceiling. And it was that point. It's like, we can go or we can stay. It's up to you. I'm like, well, I'm going to stay. I already decided I'm staying. So in that moment, it happens so quickly. It's not a conversation. It's just a download of the whole conversation, if that makes any sense to you. So I wake up at the ceiling and I hear the nurse say to the anesthesiologist, "Did you just get a Brady?" Now, a Brady, I think, is when your heart skips a beat. It's something on the lower end of the heart beating. And because I'd had some heart troubles since after I had the implants in, I knew what she meant by that. And in that moment, that was the moment where I was asked, "Do you want to go now? You can go. If you say yes, then this is it. And if you decide to stay, then you decide to stay." I decided to stay. The anesthesiologist says, "Nope, I didn't." I'm like, okay, here we are. I went back to sleep knowing that it's all good. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to wake up from this surgery and I'm going to continue forward. But I still didn't know what I was going to do at that time. That was like 5 years ago.
Okay, well, what happened in the last 5 years then?
Really, really. Now, I thought I was doing the work before, but really doing the work, really looking at that kind of stuff. I really worked on like an elevator. I don't know if you want to call it Jacob's ladder, if you want to, it's the chakras, what it is. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's all the same thing. So I started at the ground floor. Like I said, my foundations were a mess. So I got back into my body. I started working with root chakra stuff and just kept moving on up the ladder, up my body, working with the chakras individually. So now where I am is the 8th chakra, transpersonal chakra, which is about everything else, not you. So the connection to the divine, I already worked a little bit with that when I was working with my crown chakra. So just really taking myself apart and putting myself back together without the things. So discovering, really trusting in having faith. And because of all the things that I've done, seen, read, understand, experienced, I have faith because I've been there. I've knocked on that door and know that it's all good. So learning more and more about that kind of stuff and really diving into spirituality in the ways in which it fits with me, because I always thought before you had to, you know, you had to follow somebody or you had to uh, believe what other people believed or whatever. I just discounted everything and started from zero. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And why did they think that? And what else could that mean? Because, sometimes stories are misconstrued, I guess that's not even the right thing, but they can be interpreted in different ways. So anything for myself, whatever makes sense for me, I use that. So I like crazy things, right? Like my name. Okay, I brought this up the other day. Scarlett, Tammy Scarlett. So on my birth certificate, it was spelt wrong. Like I'm talking about, I go right back to the foundations of things. So I went back to my birth even, right? So it's spelt wrong on my birth certificate, or it looks like it is. It looks like an O instead of an E. So that would be Scarlott. I thought, you know what? That is one of those things. It's like a trigger. It's a thing. That's not my name. It's incorrect. And taking the two words and separating them into scar and lot. I'm like, yes, I have a lot of scars. I really do. And I don't want anymore. So I changed my name legally, even though it's always been my name, so that it reflects that it has an E, so that it's Scarlett. So whatever scars I'm going to incur in the future, I'm realizing that I'm allowing that to happen. I'm letting that happen. Those belong to me. So I mean, of course, not everybody has the same name or whatever, but how you work with the things that you do have and the understandings of some things can be just like so obscure and mean nothing to anybody else, but to you, they mean the world, right? They mean something strongly. And just to work with those kinds of things. And it's been exciting and yeah, really, really faith affirming. I think what it comes down to. It's made me believe more strongly in Gus than next to myself. That there's, you know, there's Gus and there's me. And I know that we're the same. So
Wow, you are a deep well, my dear. I'm just so thrilled that I get to. For those of you wondering, why is some dude in the Women's Wellness Network interviewing Tammy, the star of the show, the hostess with the mostess? Tammy's part of my catapult program. Why did you? Let's briefly go into why did you do catapult? So how we met, because that's more recent. I didn't know that we actually grew up in basically the same city, and which is weird. We've never met, but I feel like I'd seen you once at church when I used to go there before my daughter was born. It's like 25 years ago. Our Roaring 20s in Abbotsford at Northview. I feel like I saw you at least once. So maybe chat a bit about that, or um, why catapult is catapult helping you step into more of our.
yeah, let me see. Yeah, catapult has been the thing that I think I needed the whole time. Because I wasn't really working on creating a business per se. I was just wanting to help people. So I was just doing all the things that I could do that I knew how to do myself. Like, making some coaching things and creative ways to help people. But I didn't have all the stuff. Like I didn't know all the ins and outs and how to do things. And I don't know, where do you look? Where do you start? So I found your group. I think it was through, oh, actually, it was because of Tony and Dean. So Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi. You and I were on something together, or we had mutual friends together, and somebody that I was on one of those with said, you need to go to see, or what was it called? What did it used to be called? Empower Network.
The Empower Network TV. Now it's ENTV today. Was it Bronson Harrington?
Um, well, Bronson was part of that group, yes, but
Okay.
it was
Someone else.
Tammy, her name is Tammy, dyslexia. She works with kids with dyslexia.
Tammy Brock or Brody or Brock.
Tammy
Yeah, okay.
Brock. Yeah, that's right. That's her. Yes, her. Yeah, she said, I'm going to be interviewed by Amos. You should go check that out. So I did. And then I waited like quite a while because I was, looking at the group and trying to figure out, if I belonged in there, who you were. I don't want to go following somebody who's, you know what I mean. You just want to go with the right people, find your tribe, and then you'll thrive. So yeah, it took me a while, and I finally had an interview with you in October. So I joined the group in March of 2023, and then had an interview October, I think, or September of 2023. So then I was really starting to, spend some time in ENTV today, finding, different people, learning some stuff about some people. It was so super interesting. Yeah. And if you're not over there on ENTV today, go and check it out because it's great. And then, yeah, you came up with this, the catapult program. I think I actually went on a first date first before I even knew about the catapult program, which was really cool. So that's for those of you in the Women's Wellness Network, that's kind of the same idea as our girl next door meet and greet. It's kind of the same idea. We just, hang out and talk and all that kind of stuff. So I did that over there, and I really liked the people. Like, I just thought, well, these are kind of my people. Like, we're kind of vibing on the same thing. So when you mentioned catapult, I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is kind of the thing that I'm needing. I've always had this failure to launch, let's just call it that, right? And I had all these great ideas, but never getting anywhere with them. So catapult came, I'm like, oh, this is like the thing. This is actually for me, because this has been one of my problems, right? Not being able to launch. And that's what catapult means. So let's just dive in there. So I did, and it's been amazing. It's been um easy to follow, and it's a lot of work. I'm not fooling you here. It's a lot of work, but it's interesting, and there's progress and a progression of ways that you do things. So it makes it a lot easier to stick with it, because it's um, you know, do this, okay, then you get this. You do this, then this will happen. So it's nice to have that guidance from you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm thrilled. You've been a shining star in the catapult program. So let's get into how do you foresee now you have a movement you've started, the Women's Wellness Network. You have amazing culture here, and you're only, I thought it was five, you're only 4 months old, 4 months and almost 4.5, close to, which is amazing that you've got this level in 4.5. What do you foresee? How is it going to open up the door to you to accomplish your ultimate? What do you feel, Gus, or what do you feel at your heart you're supposed to do now with this movement?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's things in the works. So I want to be able to showcase the people that are there. I want people to be able to have a platform where they can share their stuff, because that was always a problem for me, right? Here, I could coach, but I didn't know where to go, and I didn't know who to, look to, and all the stuff that goes along with it. I had no clue. So I would like to be that for our women. We've got some freaking amazing people in here. Holy smokes. Um, like the healers and the authors, and oh geez, there's just so many people, and I want to be able to let them shine. I want them to be able to show people who they are. It's one of the reasons I really love the interviews. I say it all the time, but it's because it's like an interview for, that person. They're being interviewed for them, for themselves, to show who they are, so that people want to work with them, or realize, oh, I have a connection with that person because they've been through this thing. Even just that, even just having that, so that people know that they're not alone, because we're not, right? And oh geez, let's see, that, and yeah, I think eventually we're going to have like a whole bunch of different kind of levels. Everything that's here today right now in the Women's Wellness Network is going to stay. I want it to stay as it is, that way, with the first interview always being free. um so people can have that. They don't need to pay for anything, but we're going to have those levels so that people can do more, offer more. And that's one of the things I'm hoping, that we can have some of those people come into the free part, and once in a while give something and share what they have. um yeah, it's exciting. Like, I'm hoping eventually I'm going to have branches around the globe with, other women running their own little pod. um and we connect in that way, right? And if
Wow.
one day you feel like, oh, I'm gonna be in, I don't know, I'm gonna be in Arizona. I don't know why I just picked that. Um, and so we have a chapter there. There's like a local, the people. And if we could all get together there, that'd be fantastic, right? Or, you say you're
That, that's exciting. That's making me excited, and I can't even join. If I'm excited, I can't even join. I'm sure a lot of the ladies here would love that.
yeah, well, I wanted to be able to do like retreats and things like that, but that's fantastic. Like, to go off to some, exotic place, or it doesn't even have to be exotic, because there's amazing, even here in Canada. Canada's beautiful. There's so many places to see, and sacred sites to visit, and that kind of thing. But really just having these bases for for our women around the globe. Like, why not? You know, if I show up in Vancouver, I would love to be able to say, hey, I'm in Vancouver, let's all get together and in person, because there's some quality that definitely is missing when you can't, you know, you're not right there next to the person. You can't, you know, shake their hand or hug them or you know, smell the perfume. I don't know. It's just like a whole different experience. There's a couple things that are left out. You know, we don't have smell-o-vision. We don't know how nice you smell today. Do you know what
Smell-o-vision. That could be a good thing that sometimes that we don't have that too, right?
you're so correct. Yes.
Smell-o-vision? Where do you come up with this stuff, Gus? Smell-o-vision.
I think that's from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or something like that. I don't know.
That's
I
amazing.
yeah, that one's from somewhere else. Oh my gosh, it's so hot here today. It's
Could
you.
we go into your interviews? I just gotta check one sec
Yeah.
here.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Yeah, I still got time. I just want to make sure. I was about to push someone and go. This is such a good interview. Um, can we go into what is your favorite part of the interviews? Because I saw your face when you talked about the interviews and how they need to say. Why do you love the interviews, Tammy?
Why do I love them? Because I love meeting the people. I love them telling me about their stuff that they love. Um, right? Because then it makes me excited. And then usually I'm always in the back of my mind, how can I connect this person, or who can I connect this person to? Is there somewhere I can help them? You know, another interview with a different group, or you know, maybe I know a specialist or something. I always want to have something that in my heart, I feel like I can contribute to them. But at the same time, they're doing that for me. Uh, they're, you know, imparting their wisdom, they're sharing their heart, they're, yeah, I don't know. I really like that, that one-on-one conversation. I really like knowing people, on the inside, like, you know, not just their job, what they do, that kind of stuff, but the other part, the part that really makes them who they are. That's important to me.
I love that about you. That's what I've always told you is that's my best part of ENTV today. Has always been the 500 interviews I've done in the last 17 months. It's the stories that it's not. Yeah, you make money, but it's the stories, man. Do you feel like you're getting free counseling? Because I wonder if I'm alone. I feel like I'm getting free counseling.
Oh yeah, sometimes for sure. Yeah, you feel like, well, there's a little bit of me in pretty much everybody I talk to. So it's like, even if they're just giving me a different perspective on something that I didn't think of before, it doesn't have to be anything big, but there's always something that I receive from our guests. And it's, yeah, it makes me humble, and it makes me really, I just want to keep doing it because it feels good. It feels good to know people a little bit better, because it's such a superficial kind of world. And you know, social media and things like that, people are, their highlight reel of their life is what we see basically, right? We don't get to see the gross stuff. We don't get to hear about that generally, unless something really traumatic happens. Um, but yeah, I want to know about that stuff. I want to know about your traumas and your dramas and your garbage, and if you're still stuck there, I want to help you get out of that hole. And if you're out of that hole, I want to find people that you can help them get out of that hole.
Wow. Well, your group is in good hands with a leader like you. I can see why they love you because what more can you ask for in a leader? And you're only 4.5 months in. Your story has paved the way for you. And I'm curious, Tammy, to watch and see what this paves the way for you. If you guys, whatever you're going to end up doing, live stuff in person, whatever, your own versions of whatever, you're a real gift to a lot of people, Tammy. And it's been an honor to interview you today. And is there anything else you want to chat about that you think the members of your group should or might want to know about you?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm open. This is one of the things that I really, because I wanted to come on here. I wanted to put myself out there because I know I have so much wisdom inside of me, experience, that I want to share that stuff. So being able to be in this group, and even though I'm not really doing my own thing, I feel like I'm at least making the world a better place by being a good mirror, being a good role model, being a good person, ultimately.
You're hugely impacting people. And I know personally, because behind the scenes, stuff's going to be rolling out in your group in the next months. And you're understated, Tammy. I watched someone else interview you on something with Lori. Maybe so you're on one of her daily shows or something, but you are an understated person. You're the opposite of someone that brags and boasts. So I think the world's your oyster, and I'm really excited to see where your group goes. Because I could totally see when you painted that vision, I could see chapters of this popping up all over and in-person stuff by next year for sure. So it's been an honor to interview you, and I'm just thrilled that I got to do this, Tammy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. And yeah, awesome. I like it.
All right. Well, the Women's Wellness Network. This is Tammy Scarlett, who you've been hearing from. She is the founder, the admin of this group. She's a phenomenal human being. I feel honored that I'm getting to know her more as we work together at Catapult. Make sure you reach out to her. Let her know if you want to be interviewed, if you want to participate more in this community, if you're someone that wants to be teaching in this community. Put your hand up. Let her know, because she's going to be gauging the pulse of the community to go, because she's an amazing host. What do the people want? What do the people need? So reach out to her. Let her know. Tammy, it's been a real privilege and honor. It's a great way for me to start my Saturday. So thanks again. I feel honored to know you, and I feel honored that I got to do this today.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll see. I don't know if I'll see any of you soon, but Tammy will see you soon. Thank you, Tammy. Bye-bye, Women's Wellness Network.
Bye, guys. Be well. Did it end? I don't know. I can never.
It always, after you click end, it takes about 2 to 3 seconds to show up. So we're